Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something we all interact with pretty much constantly, the news. Now, your first thought might be, front page headlines, serious global events, and yeah, those are definitely part of it.
Sure, the big stuff.
But the reality is, well, the news today is just so much broader, isn't it? It stretches across everything from science breakthroughs, tech, entertainment buzz, sports.
Fashion, viral trends.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Exactly. It's a lot.
Yeah, and navigating that huge, always changing landscape. That could feel like a real skill in itself, actually. It's not just about knowing what's happening. It's more about understanding how information reaches us, the language they use.
How we can talk about it confidently.
Precisely. How we can discuss the things we see and hear.
Okay, so in this deep dive, our mission basically is to give you some sharper tools for making sense of it all. We've gone through some really interesting material to bring you practical ways to engage with the news you bump into every day. Think of it like upgrading your news toolkit.
Yeah, a toolkit upgrade. I like that. And that upgrade will focus on a few key things. We'll look at the many ways we actually get news these days. So then we'll kind of dissect the essential words and structures in those headlines that grab your attention.
Right, the headline language.
Yeah. And we'll also explore how to talk confidently about both the big global issues and the lighter stuff, the fun news.
Good, because it's not all serious.
Definitely not. And finally, we'll share some useful ways to express your own opinions about what you're reading or watching, clearly, politely.
Okay, great. So let's dive right in then. Where do we actually get the news now? Because it's a world away from just waiting for the 6 o'clock news, isn't it?
Oh, completely. Our sources really highlight this explosion of news streams. You've got instant updates on places like Instagram, TikTok.
Right, social media feeds.
Exactly. Then the dedicated news apps, BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, Reuters.
The big international names.
Yep. And podcasts, of course. So many news podcasts now. YouTube channels doing news explainers, visual stuff.
And yeah, traditional TV and newspapers are still around too, playing their part.
And what's really interesting is how personal our news habits can be. Like someone might say, oh, I usually get my news from the BBC website.
Right. Specific trust in one source's online presence.
Exactly. Or maybe I follow a few really good journalists on Instagram, which shows how, individual voices are becoming more influential.
Yeah, the rise of the journalist personality almost.
Kind of. And then you hear people integrating it into their routines, like I listen to news podcasts when I go for a walk.
Makes sense.
It just really shows how news consumption is, woven into our daily lives now.
And it's not always about naming specific apps or websites either, is it? People often talk more generally. They might say, I like to stay up to date with current events.
Right. Or I try to keep informed about what's happening in the world. It shows a general desire to be aware, even if it's not a strict routine.
Yeah. And who hasn't done the I check the headlines every morning while drinking my coffee thing?
Definitely. That quick pulse check on the day.
So true.
So this brings us to a good point for you, the listener. Maybe take a second to think about your own news ecosystem. Where do you usually find out what's going on?
Yeah. Are you more visual? Do you like reading articles? Or is audio your thing, like podcasts?
Knowing your own habits is like the first step to being more conscious about the information you're taking in.
Okay, good point. So let's move on to actually decoding those headlines. They're designed to grab us, right? But sometimes they use this specific kind of language.
They really do. It's like a shorthand sometimes. Our material gives some great examples, like world leaders meet to discuss climate change.
Okay, clear, simple, tells you who and what.
Exactly. Or how about prices rise sharply after fuel shortage?
Ah, cause and effect. Concise. Sharply tells you a lot. And fuel shortage is the trigger.
Precisely. And another common one? New study reveals health benefits of walking. That word reveals is key there.
Right. It signals like new information being uncovered, research findings.
And there's a set of sort of core words that pop up again and again in headlines.
Like what?
Well, to announce. They use an official statement. The government announced a new policy today.
Got it. Official declaration.
Yeah. Then a rise in, pretty straightforward, means an increase. There's been a rise in food prices recently.
Okay, yeah, we see that one a lot.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
The noun shortage means not enough of something. There's a water shortage in many parts of the world.
Right, lack of supply.
And to reveal, like in the study example, means to show or discover something new. Scientists revealed new data about climate change.
So these words are chosen for, like, efficiency, to
Yeah.
pack meaning into a small space.
Exactly that. Maximum impact, minimum words. That's the headline game.
Okay. So shifting gears a bit, let's talk about discussing the bigger, more serious global issues.
Yeah.
Things like climate change, war and peace, education, the economy, health. They can feel heavy.
They definitely can. But talking about them is, well, it's important. And our source material offers some helpful ways to start those conversations, some sentence starters.
Oh, okay, like phrases to help you jump in.
Yeah, exactly. Things that help you share your view thoughtfully, like, in my opinion. Or, I think it's important because.
Simple, direct.
Or maybe something broader, like, this affects everyone, not just one country. That kind of highlights the global scope.
Right. Framing it bigger.
And if you want to talk about solutions, maybe something like, we need to do more to solve this problem. Or perhaps, finding solutions really requires a multifaceted approach. Shows you see the complexity.
Okay, let's try one. Climate change. How might someone use those?
Well, you could say something like, in my opinion, the extreme weather we're seeing more often. Well, I think it's clearly linked to climate change, and it impacts millions.
Right. Connecting cause and effect and impact.
And I think it's important because we all need to act, governments and individuals. We need to do more.
Yeah, okay. That sounds natural. How about for health?
You could talk about advancements. Maybe. I read that scientists revealed some new cancer treatments recently. It's amazing how fast medicine is moving.
Okay, positive angle.
But, you might add, from my point of view, the big question is access. How do we make sure these treatments reach everyone? You know, not just people in wealthy countries. This affects everyone.
So acknowledging the progress, but also raising that important issue of equity.
Exactly. It's about having a nuanced discussion.
And there's vocabulary here too, right?
Yeah.
Specific terms for these big topics.
Oh, absolutely. For environment, you hear global warming, pollution, obviously. For health, maybe healthcare system, mental health.
Economic crisis, developing countries.
Great. Knowing these terms really helps you follow the conversation and contribute more effectively. It allows for deeper discussion.
Makes sense. But, you know, as we said earlier, the news isn't always that heavy.
Thankfully, no. It's really important to remember the lighter side, too. Entertainment, celebrities, fun stuff, viral things.
Totally. Like you see headlines, maybe, did you hear Taylor Swift just broke another record? Or everyone's talking about the new Marvel movie.
Yeah. Or those random feel-good stories like, you won't believe this video of a dog helping a delivery driver. It went viral.
Huh, yeah. Those definitely make the rounds. They're part of the news cycle, too, in a way.
They absolutely are. And there's a language for this stuff, too, isn't there?
Yeah, like you just said, it went viral. That's a key one.
Or everyone's talking about it, or it's trending. We hear that all the time.
Trending on Twitter or wherever.
And when something just makes you feel good, you might say, oh, that story made me laugh, or it made me smile, or just, that felt good to see.
It's true. And sometimes, as the source material points out, that positive news is, well, it's needed, isn't it? Especially when the serious stuff feels overwhelming.
Definitely. A bit of balance. It reminds us of shared experiences, moments of fun.
Okay, so whether it's serious or light, eventually you might want to give your own opinion on something you've seen or read. How do we do that well? You know, clearly, but also politely.
Yeah, that's a crucial skill. And again, there are some really handy phrases.
Like?
Well, you can use things like, personally, I think, or from my point of view. Pretty clear signals that it's your take.
Okay, straightforward. What if you disagree slightly or want to add another angle?
You could try something like, that's a good point, but I believe. Or maybe, I see what you mean, however, I also think it acknowledges the other view first.
Right, softening it a bit.
Or, some people say, but I think. That shows you're aware of a common view but hold a different one.
Let's try an example. What about, say, social media and the news? That's always a hot topic.
Okay, so you might say, well, some people say social media is full of fake news, and yeah, that's a concern.
Acknowledging the downside.
But personally, I think it also gives us access to loads of different voices and, like, real-time updates. From my point of view, the key is just being careful about sources. You know, media literacy.
Okay, so you state the concern, then offer your perspective focusing on responsible use. That makes sense.
Exactly. Or maybe technology. That's always in the news.
Constantly.
You could say, wow, technology is moving so fast. Personally, I think it's exciting. But that's a good point about regulation. From my point of view, we do need to think carefully about things like, say, AI in schools. How do we manage that?
Right. Expressing enthusiasm, but also raising a specific, valid concern that needs thought. It prompts that interesting question, doesn't it? How do we manage that pace of change?
It really does. Lots to consider there.
Okay, so before we wrap up, maybe a quick recap of some of the key vocabulary we touched on, just to lock it in.
Good idea. These are really core terms for talking about news.
Right. So we had headline, that short summary at the top.
Yep, reporter, the person gathering and telling the news.
Breaking news for stuff happening right now, developing fast.
Current events or current affairs, just generally what's happening now.
Then, unfortunately, fake news, or maybe better, misinformation, false stuff, sometimes spread deliberately.
Yeah, important distinction. Trending, when something gets really popular online, quickly.
And source, where the information comes from, crucial one.
Absolutely. Knowing these words, understanding what they mean, it really does empower you to engage more confidently.
Totally. You can follow the conversation better, and you can join in more easily.
Exactly.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, hopefully you feel a bit more equipped now. You've got ideas about navigating sources, decoding headlines,
Talking about the big issues and the fun stuff.
and expressing your own views clearly.
And it's worth remembering, learning a language isn't just about grammar and vocab lists. It's about actually engaging with the world.
Right. And the news, in all its forms, gives you that constant stream of real-world stuff to connect with.
Real topics, real conversations.
So we really hope you'll take these ideas and, run with them. Talk about the news stories you see. Share your thoughts. Ask questions.
Yeah, don't be afraid to jump into those discussions. That's how you really grow your understanding and your confidence. It makes you not just a language learner, but like a more informed person, generally.
Definitely. A more engaged global citizen.
And just remember, every time you understand a news report a bit better or have a conversation about current events, that's progress. Keep going. Keep exploring.
Keep connecting. So here's a final thought for you to mull over. How does the way news is presented, the headlines chosen, the sources they use, the specific language, how does that actually shape our perspective on what's happening in the world?
Ooh, that's a deep one. Definitely something to think about.
It is. Give it some thought, and we'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.